have got a beautiful town here. I was walking around Fort Worth today and, saw all the history of the cattle drives and the stagecoaches, and, for a guy from Vermont, that's pretty cool. And then I was in Sundance Park, and man, I saw those huge umbrellas opening up, and close my eyes and you hear those fountains. You feel like you're by the ocean. Some beautiful stuff going on here, and an amazing crowd. I also picked up Fort Worth Weekly and learned that you guys have an election coming up, and the idea that only 6% of the people vote makes it incredibly easy for those of us who want to support Deborah Peoples for mayor to get out there and vote for her and get her in, get her elected. And just think of it as practice for getting Bernie elected. I want to say that one of the best things about getting Bernie elected is that I become the minister of ice cream. When I am the minister of ice cream, I guarantee a pint in every freezer and a sundae in every bowl. Before Bernie, I used to be the most famous guy from Vermont. So I am so incredibly proud and happy to turn that mantle over to Bernie and become his opening act. Ice cream is good, but a president of the United States that truly believes in justice in all its flavors, that is euphoric. So that's why I'm here on the campaign trail here in Fort Worth instead of being back home in Vermont, just kind of licking ice cream. But euphoria is a high-minded word. But the reason that Bernie will be able to transform Washington is that he's down to earth. He has a vision, and it's pretty simple. What would our country be like if it was really run for the benefit of regular, everyday people? And the thing that makes Bernie special amongst all the other candidates is that he knows what he's up against. He has no delusions. He has the experience in the trenches, in the cesspool of what is our political system today, and that will enable him, with the help of all of us, to successfully flush the crap down the drain. He's been in Congress, in the House and the Senate for 30 years. He knows how it works. I don't see Bernie as a politician in the usual sense of the word. He is a fighter for justice, social, racial, and economic, and he uses politics as a means to that end. Before Bernie, I never had a mayor that represented my values, or a congressman, or a senator. And man, it just feels so good.
Yeah.
So I just want to give you a taste of what's gotten me so excited about now seeing this guy in the White House. For the last 40 years, I've been Bernie's constituent. First in Burlington, Vermont, when he was mayor, and I've seen how steadfast and determined he is. For these last 4 decades, he's worked consistently to improve the lives of regular, everyday people and those who are oppressed. In 1980, when Ben & Jerry's was first starting out, Bernie won an improbable victory over an establishment incumbent, party machine, old crony, old boys network politician, and he became mayor of Burlington. His first act as mayor was to shut down plans for expensive condominiums that would have privatized the shore of Lake Champlain, and instead he turned the land into a park open to everybody. When he became my congressman, he personally took busloads of senior citizens over the border into Canada so they could buy prescription drugs at decent prices. He co-founded the Progressive Caucus, which has now become the biggest values-based caucus in the House of Representatives. He voted against NAFTA before voting against NAFTA was cool. He voted against going to war in Iraq twice. Then in 2007, he defeated the richest man in Vermont to become my senator. As senator, he worked with conservatives to force the first ever audit of the Federal Reserve, which revealed trillions of dollars in near zero interest loans to big banks and multiple conflicts of interest. Then he led a successful effort to stop the so-called chain CPI, which would have reduced benefit payments to Social Security recipients and disabled veterans. Last September, Bernie introduced the Stop Bezos Act. That stands for Stop Bad Employers by Zeroing Out Subsidies. It requires large employers that are paying lousy wages to reimburse the government for the food stamps and the Medicaid that their employees need to get by. A month later, Jeff Bezos, CEO of Amazon, raised their minimum wage to $15 an hour. And now, in this highly divided, highly politicized environment, it was Bernie who was able to unite Republicans and Democrats to pass a resolution calling for the United States to get out of the war in Yemen. You know, when Bernie ran for president the first time, and he said he wouldn't take any big money, I thought that was a mistake, that he'd never raise enough money for his campaign. Then I came to understand it. He knew that if there weren't enough people willing to pony up small donations, that he didn't want to become president. Because then he wouldn't have the army of people that he would need once we elect him president in order to push his agenda through. So, you know, I've known the guy for 40 years. What do I think about Bernie, the man? Well, he's always been the same. He never wavers. He has a clear vision for how to make America kind again. And he continually comes up with innovative ways to do it. He's not a fancy game. No, he's not a fancy guy. He's pretty down home, no airs, and I like his hairstyle. That never changes either. He doesn't go with the trends, he sets the trends. Small donor-funded campaigns, universal health care, publicly funded colleges and universities. Bernie, the trendsetter? Who knew? He's already leading the country. Just look at all the other candidates that are following him.